Once again, Energies Us Productions presents Pittsburgh Poltergeiser Prattle. Today's topic, Sound Dead, or Hey, call again, man, and action. Hello and welcome back. Thanks for joining me in this surprise video. It's the name of the show. Feel free to copy and share anything I teach or record. Please consider the teachings, which I do not author yet speak. Pondering in the newly unified field helps enhance the 100th monkey effect, and what some people call the Holy Spirit effect, unified fields. And if you have any questions, see my past videos. They're all very short. And many days of solar storms have been brought to you by Energies Us. Instead of using lucid ferrous emitted from the sun for communication, we use plasma light packed with love, because plasma light tastes fate less grilling. And back to today's title, Sound Dead, or Sounded, and hey, call again, man. And sounding, in nautical terms, means to read everything in your denser surroundings, so aquifer, water, so you know your whole environment and everything in it, due to the density of the liquid. Similar to my experiments with magnetizing everything in my neighborhood, and I'll mention some examples later of being able to sound plasma that's subterra and bring it to the surface for better conduits, we shall say, for the moment. Okay, so sound dead, the sound of the dead, being reunified with the local fields, the galactic plasma, and also reformulating, no longer as plasmates, but more of a living being brought back to life, you could say. At least their data, we won't call it a living being. It might freak some people out. And hey, call again, man, that's a joke off an old commercial that I just couldn't forget. And it means call again in slang again. Or a jinn, I believe, is what some people call a demon. Kind of what I just talked about, except what you would call evil rather than helpful or angelic guidance, whatever. So as you know, these physics have been coming out of my mouth for 10, 12 years, and it's kind of come to an end physics-wise. And I started remembering all my dreams, and they've been the same for months. It's very disturbing. I used to not remember most of my dreams, which was, I guess, a comfort. So in my dreams, I'm holding on to something as hard as I can and being dragged through like oceans of dead, we'll just call it recycling plasma from historic times. And it's very angry and dense and about to come to equilibrium. And it's so bad, and it happens every night, all night, for the most part. I'm sore through here, soaked with sweat, and just kind of in awe of what I witnessed. Anyway, so as I was saying, I think the physics of the end times that I teach is about done. And those were the end visions, oceans of dead and angry, as though they're awaiting authority to bring those who cause such chaos and predicaments on the planet to equilibrium. Correct them. Bible woman says, judge them. And there is that specifies wrath and vengeance in their book, the Bible. And everything's open source Akashics now. all you have to do is think about someone, and between what you all call the Holy Spirit and what others call and have produced, they label artificial intelligence. You remember everything you've ever known about them, and you just focus or do a healing on it, just about anyone, like I mentioned before, and you get all their Akashic records. It's open source now, and it has been for some time. And we're in unified fields of high conduits. That negative plasma uptake or upwaft from the subterra is highly conducive and is full of data. And we mentioned before, the fear has all been cleaned out of it. And let me glance at my notes real quick. I started using my divinating rods that I showed you with the magnet collar and the magnet boosters. And you can actually use if you have some, you can use your heart as the base magnet too. And it's easy to aim at the sun. You just line up the shadow. And then you can just do it for yourself and see how effective you can be, because y'all will be better at this than I am. And we talked about sounding, what that means. The physics of, now let's get into this first. Sounding at trump depth. And that's like the whale. It makes that sound, or the aircraft carrier pings. And mass discordance death. Here's some examples a Bible teacher and just my observations have seen where people die just kind of mysteriously, you might say, or at least those who practice medicine might say. But that's bringing up that plasma. You can mass program a field or a pool of plasma, and it would inhibit the electron exchange rate of the muscles of those attacking. And if they're discordant and evil, and we went over piezo crystal infractions, which are small cracks in their skeletal structure crystals. And you can imagine if there's iron in their heart, it would stop their heart, and so on, and they would their heart would fail. And it makes me want to cry. Moses, I guess, did hold up his hands. Ben and her held up his hands. And then 185,000, I think they said they dropped in a valley somewhere. And I'm sure it's happening now, but what your leader calls the fake news isn't broadcasting it from the rooftops. And examples are of the mass death would be your deep state people, the pedophiles, the genociders, strayers, those who lead people astray, always trying to seduce them with booze and cigarettes and everything else. And why now? We've gone over that in all the videos. It's been building to a climax, this equilibrium, the galactic circuit, that it was repaired after the damage. We call Pittsburgh coal seam, big dense, 6-foot thick coal seam, shaped like a bowl. And why now? What you call manipulators, the dark plasma, which way it goes, witches, whatever you want to call them. Their source ran out, all that continuous feed of scared plasma, or plasma programmed by scared dying people. Because the wars have stopped, finally, the viruses have gone extinct because the exchange rate of the electrons is too rapid. It takes them apart. And there's no more genocide. That came to an end finally, and those lives that were aborted prematurely. And then use the physics thereof. You'll learn that. You won't remember it for long because you'll overwrite the plasma from the history. And I wanted to say thank yous to Julie Green Ministry International for the reports about all the people that are experiencing direct contact with what y'all call the Holy Spirit. Freedom Force Live, .live, Melissa, Red Pill the World. Thanks for teaching me that some of my stuff had some validity, and Stefan Burns the same for your geophysics on YouTube. Victor St. John, the only one that tried to do something about the pedophile pornography up above the park there they were making. And Vincent Charles Lashai Jr. for entertaining all those troops with Glenn Miller in World War II. And Oliva, the Canavera, the Prince of the Army, the Admirals of the Seas, for all you've done to bring peace and energy to us, the ones who speak, and women. You know why. We all love you very much. Thank you. Congratulations. Enjoy the new world. We love you very much. I love you too. Bye.